Cross Politic begins in 3, 2, 1.
I'm a heart that breaks for a dying city.
Stop cursing your future.
Is not true.
For all intents and purposes, I am a woman.
No government, no political system has ultimate supremacy. Jesus is King of Kings, and it's about time our nation returned in humble submission to his lordship.
You are not protecting women. You are authorizing the destruction of 500,000 little women every year.
I didn't start it. But, sir, with all due respect, that's the argument of a 5-year-old. I didn't start it.
Right, when the Spirit comes upon people, they go to war. They go to battle, and the enemies of God are driven back, and they're slaughtered.
You are listening to Cross Politic with Gabe Wrench, the Water Boy, Pastor Toby Sumter, and the Chocolate Knox.
Hello, y'all. Welcome to Cross Politic. Thank you for joining us again this week. I'm very excited this week for two reasons. Well, one is because we got Elise Crappyshuts in the house.
Thank you. Hi.
Thank you for coming on the show.
You don't know pretty soon.
Yeah. You guys don't know Elise, but you're going to know Elise.
Yes.
Second reason is it's Toby's birthday.
Hey! You know, I was thinking about this, like, what do we do for your birthday? So I was thinking that there's a couple different groups that we have.
Oh.
Right? Like, there's a few different groups. Like, there's a group of people who haven't left white evangelicalism, and they might want to sing Happy Birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Sounds like a choir.
Toby.
Happy birthday to you.
All right. I'm already bored. I'm already bored.
Wait a sec. Are you saying this is a bunch of white people?
Yeah.
Or
those who haven't decided to leave white evangelicalism. Now, if you have decided to leave white evangelicalism, you might sing it like this.
Hey! I feel the Holy Spirit in this song.
It's the day your mama brought you home. It's a special day.
It's a special day.
It's the day your mama brought you home.
That's great.
Okay, all right. So I'm somewhere in the middle of those two. I'm somewhere in the middle. Yeah. So
man.
Happy birthday, man.
Thanks.
How old are you? No, why are you looking at me like that?
Why do you gotta sing like? Why do you gotta sing like that?
I'm 37.
Wow.
Well, you preach like you're 80.
Hey.
You're wise like you're 75.
Man, Toby, I'm 38.
Yeah.
I am 38.
Yeah.
I'm a year older than him.
You act like you're
you got well, you preach like you're 8.
I'm sorry, I did. It's what is this, by the way? We have some birthday drinks.
So this is some birthday Belvini. Elise, did you want some Belvini? I have a glass right here for you.
No, I'm
okay,
good to
but
go.
we also have some fizzy water for you. Okay?
We got you some Perrier.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
very kind.
You forgot also we have John Henry in the house.
Hey.
Elise's 9-year-old son.
Bodyguard.
Yeah, bodyguard. 9-year-old bodyguard.
Yeah.
Bodyguard, yes.
Thank you, John Henry.
He's locking it down.
Yeah, here, say hello. Here.
Hi.
Hey.
There we go.
It's John Henry.
All right, let's get into some cross-politic news.
Let's just sing Happy Birthday one more time.
One more time. You little.
Happy birthday.
I
like that part where it says the day your mama brought you home.
The day your mama brought you home.
Oh, I like that.
That's rich.
Thanks.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well,
appreciate that.
We love you, Toby.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I love you guys, and this is great. And even though I totally misread David's text to me today, I was like, got it.
Where's my book?
I'm going to do that.
I'm going to bring the book.
He texted me. He's like, bring the book, and I was thinking he was talking about Elise's book because we have copies of your.
We got
it's not the
copies, yes.
the fancy one, but I was like, oh yeah, I got it. I'm going to bring it.
Yeah.
And I didn't read it. And I was like walking up the steps and it says your book.
You know what? Now thinking about it, I'm going to take back my happy birthdays. Anyway.
Your book.
I'm sorry.
Forgive you.
I'm sorry.
Pastor Toby wrote a book called Bloodbought, and
Bloodbought World.
Bloodbought World. Thank you.
Yeah, correction.
And I was thinking we should do a short film on this book.
Uh-oh.
And so I want to read it and kind of digest it and get it in my head.
You should read it first before you.
Well, I think I know what it's about.
Yeah.
Yeah, the blood bought. I mean, come on. It kind of gives it away in the title, but I'm just saying I still want to read it. But I think we should,
all right,
do a cross politic.
I'll bring you a copy. I'll bring you a copy. Yeah.
And now it's on the air.
What do you mean you don't got it already? What do you mean? I thought we were friends.
You're turning it
Hey,
on.
don't we have some news to
Hey,
do?
so
I thought we were friends.
speaking of,
Let's talk about some news. At least how you doing over there? Good to see you, sis. Praise the Lord. All right. Happy
Day your mama brought you home.
hey, I was in California this last week for New St. Andrews.
Did you use the right pronouns?
One of my, oh man. So this is going to come up
That's why he's
in
back,
Cross Politics
actually.
News. Yeah. Two things before I get to the pronoun thing.
Okay.
A school down in California asked me for I work. One of my mini jobs is I work for New St. Andrews, and I'm director of recruitment there. And a school asked me to come and speak about cross politic.
Oh no,
that's awesome.
So I went down and spoke to the whole,
What are they teaching those kids?
I think it was freshmen and up about cross politic, and tied it into, hey, I can do NSA, I can do cross politic because of my liberal arts training and everything. So it was fun. It was fun. I can't tell you how many listeners I met down in the LA area.
Wow.
Where I was, I don't know where these people come from, and I don't know why they listen to us.
Well, hey, shout out to LA.
Yeah. But
we're praying for you.
While I was down there, there's a coffee shop that shared a bathroom with it's that one store, not Safeway.
Target?
Come on, what's the fruity? What's the
Kroger?
Whole Foods?
It's kind of like, oh my goodness.
You need to Google it. Oh wait, you don't know what it is.
No, I don't know what it is. It's the store. Anyways, it's like a Safeway. It's not a big deal.
Okay, all right.
And they share bathrooms together, and so I need to go use the restroom, so I got to go out of the coffee shop and go into the store's bathroom. And I go there, and the bathroom signs are all genders. That's what the bathroom sign said. It said all genders, and that was it. Nothing specific. I felt a little insulted.
What if you don't have a gender?
That's in contrast to what happened in Texas this past week, or what became known in Texas this past week. About 3 or 4 months ago, a coffee shop or cafe down in Texas posted bathroom signs saying, "Hey, this is Bruce Jenner's bathroom, and this is Bruce
for the guys.
Yeah,
Bruce Jenner for the guys.
Bruce Jenner for the guys, and Caitlyn Jenner for the girls."
So what was the ladies' restroom at? I'm just wondering because those are two guys.
Yeah, right. There's two guys.
And they took there's two guys. That's right. That's good. But they took a picture of Bruce, which is Caitlyn, and
then another picture of Bruce dressed up like a woman.
Cross.
Oh, okay.
And they took the whole picture and pasted it on the door. So, kind of Bruce looking like a girl, and then Bruce winning the Olympics looking like a guy on this door. And he can choose which door. Anyways, it's been like that for 3 months, and it finally hit national media, and it's just tweaked everybody off.
But it really is an insult. I mean, we've said this before on the show, but I mean, that every time somebody tries to do that, it's an insult to every woman.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, because they just took a bathroom away from the women.
Right. But that man really isn't a woman.
Right.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter what he's doing. It's not a woman.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's an insult.
Well, and
to every real woman.
Let me play this clip real quick, and
at least you can jump in here anytime you want to, because I know I read your book. I know you got something to say about that. You ain't fooling me.
I didn't talk about bathrooms in the. I don't know if you really read it closely.
In extension, she does.
But his vocation is no way close to being anything to a woman.
No, not at all. Let me play this.
If you don't start out a woman, you can't end up a woman.
Oh, take that to the bank and cash.
There you go. If you don't start, you can't end.
Tweet that.
Let me play this video real quick.
What's she like to coach?
Yeah, she's good. She's good. She's got a big, broad smile.
The AFL's latest big controversy breaks her silence.
I obviously don't agree with what the AFL has done.
Banned from the Women's League.
They think that she has too great a competitive advantage.
Do you have to take it easy on them?
Oh, God, no. They're tough. They rip in.
But you must have had inklings for some time.
You're sort of going, I know this is the right thing to do, but...
Were you more attracted to females or males at that point?
Oh, yeah, girls for sure. I still am. And that's something people don't really understand.
Should they let her play?
She's got nice solid hands, which is good. Good hands, Hannah.
The full debate.
It's a bloke in a dress.
On 60 Minutes Sunday.
So that's 60 Minutes Australia.
I don't know if I quite understood what was going on.
I know. That's what that you had to see the imagery. I wanted to.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I
don't think we did, Gabe.
So you got the imagery when it said it's a bloke in a dress,
right.
Okay, and it's this guy who's wanting to play as a girl in the Australian rugby league.
Wait. So there's a guy dressed up as a girl.
Yep.
Who wants to play in
Australian rugby league.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
That's just how I'm feeling.
Who is that?
Right
Who
now.
is that?
That's just how I'm feeling.
Who is that?
Yeah. I'm not telling you my sources.
That's hilarious.
But that is the dumbest thing I've heard.
Oh man. And this
wait,
dude is
on.
big. That's why they're.
So the rugby league is for guys?
For girls.
For girls.
Yes.
How
women's
would
rugby
he
league in
do
Australia.
in a men's rugby league?
How would what?
How would he do in a men's rugby league? Like,
I mean,
is
the
he
guy
any
looks
good?
big.
Is he any good?
He's a big dude.
He's a big dude. I mean, he's basically a dude with a long hair ponytail. That's it.
But how would he do in a rugby league with girls? Is the question, right?
Because that's why he'd be joining.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
think.
Right.
And who wouldn't want him on their team? Yeah, hey, we're going to win championship this year because we're cheating.
Because we got a dude, and the
got a
dude looked
dude.
like he could play in guys rugby league. That's how big he is.
Right.
He's got big arms. I mean, the coach is describing his hands. I mean, because the guy's got like masculine, strong hands.
Right.
But isn't this their worldview, like eating them alive?
Oh, yeah, it's eating themselves.
It's just,
right.
I mean, this is like a cancer tearing them up. You know, this is.
But they're stuck.
How they get out of it?
But they're stuck.
Yeah,
Because you can't keep saying this kind of insanity and then say, "Oh, we've been insane."
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Without repenting.
Yeah. Right.
And there's all kinds of incentives not to repent.
Right.
Right. Why?
So that's why they'll never
that's
back
a good
out.
point.
Right. You're right. That's why they'll never back out. Is because the only way to back out would be repentance, which should be something that's foreign to them. They don't know how to do it.
They'd have to acknowledge standards. They'd have to acknowledge truth. They'd have to acknowledge that they're wrong.
Right. And so this brings me to Donna Brazil. You like that transition?
It's not bad, Gabe. You're getting better. You know what? Your segues are maturing a little bit. I was wrong about you being 20. Your segues might be 28
22,
now.
22.
Yeah, your segues are growing up. I'm with you.
So have you guys heard about Donna Brazil's new book?
No, it's not anywhere.
No.
So, Donna Brazil was the former DNC chair.
Okay.
She was also
Democratic National
chair.
Commission
committee chair.
whatever.
Yep. And she's the former chair, which is a pretty powerful position.
Right.
Also known as Hillary Clinton's puppets. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well,
I think that's the point of her book.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's right.
Really?
Is it? What's the book called?
The book is called Hacks: The Inside Story of the Break-ins and Breakdowns That Put Donald Trump in the White House.
Wait,
of course,
is she including herself in that?
Well, that's what she should.
Is it the Russians?
At least it's like, no.
So
is it the Russians?
She's basically laying out in her book how Hillary Clinton took over the party long before they nominated her into the Democratic nomination.
Now, let me get this straight.
Right?
Now, Donna is not in the seat anymore, correct?
She's not the chair
I think
anymore.
she was just an interim chair.
Oh, okay.
Well, she got fired as interim chair when the WikiLeaks came out. That she was
sneaking off.
She'd been sneaking questions from the debates.
She's the one.
She's the one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when she says hacks, she's looking in the mirror. Just wondering.
What you talking about, Willis?
I'm just assuming that's what she mean.
Yeah.
Did you read the article where she had to call Bernie Sanders?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
So
he's gonna tell
she
you.
lays out this chapter in her book where she found out what was going on in the Democratic Party. She found out that Hillary had basically Hillary made a deal with the Democratic Party where she would channel all her earnings, all her what she fundraised through the Democratic Party, and then they would channel some of those earnings back into her coffers, her fundraising mechanisms, because at fundraising policy, you can only raise about, I think, $2,900 per person if Hillary can. The National Party can raise millions per business person, doesn't matter. You can donate however much you want to the National Party, but you're limited to a specific candidate if you fundraise directly
But
to
then
them.
the party can funnel money back
That's
as
right.
much as they want.
But I think she got them out of debt, and that's why they had to do.
Now,
So Barack Obama leaves office and leaves the Democratic National Convention or party in millions of debt. And so Hillary makes a deal and says, look,
There's a joke there I have, but I can't. I would get in trouble for saying it. But
John Henry's here.
Yeah, that's true. It was a black joke, but I think you can make the connection.
Yeah.
Why he leave? We in anyway. Go. All right. I said it. Toby didn't say it. Gabe didn't say it.
I didn't.
Send the chocolate.
I didn't.
At least Devin said
it.
John Henry, he amened it. But anyway, okay.
So yeah, John, like that's right. That's right. I've been thinking that. I was gonna say that. I was gonna say that. And so she basically financially bought the party, and they signed a memorandum. I mean, they signed Donna found documentation with this signed memorandum that this would be the case.
Well, if you let them describe it, what actually happened was that the party was broke, like Elise was saying, and they went to both Hillary and to Bernie and said, would you guys raise money for the party? Mm-hmm. Right. So now this is me putting a DNC spin on it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And Bernie said no. He said no because the way that the money could be manipulated. Because he's not a socialist. Yeah, he already well, interesting. He already knew that Hillary had her fingers inside of the party anyway, and he felt like she was going to manipulate it. Because whoever won in the party,
the nominee,
thank you, whoever won the nominee got to control the money.
Right.
And so he already knew, like, Hillary's moving this thing towards her way anyway, and she's already got her cronies in here. Right. Why would I help raise money? This is coming from his side. Some people who are in his campaign, he didn't want to help raise money for someone he already knew was manipulating the system.
Right.
So that's why he didn't do what she did. She raised money because she knew.
Yeah.
This is my party. This is my party.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in. You know.
So what that means is she has control of the party before the nomination process actually happens, which means all the Democratic national movements are all in favor of Hillary, helping her get elected.
But what doesn't make sense is why this is newsworthy. Everyone knew that she was doing this.
Come on now.
Well, this is what
message.
Message. Well, but this is the reason why this is news now is because Donna is no longer the chair. She no longer has the Democratic power that she had. She's ousted from CNN for rigging the.
Oh, she did do that,
right?
Yeah.
Rigging the debates.
Well, for getting caught rigging the debates, which I think is different.
Right, getting caught. And then Elise makes a very good point there.
That's that lawyer talk.
And now, so she has no way of making money like she used to.
Right, it
so
sells books.
It sells books, and in addition to that.
I don't think that's the only thing.
When you lose power, when a party loses power, everyone starts devouring themselves and starts coming out. And now Hillary is the big target.
Well, I think, yeah. Oh man, this is so much. Just because this ties into Weinstein. We were talking about this earlier as well.
Yeah, do it. Say it. It was good.
This is how the wicked change power.
Yeah.
They eat themselves, right? Yeah. Like they have no succession plan.
Yeah.
You know, and so when Donna's going out, this is her kill folder. Like she's grabbing all the information she can on someone else so that when she goes out, she can protect herself and still be able to, like you said, make a living. But also I'm watching the other people who are in the party who want the Hillary campaign, the Hillary people out so they can change the hands of power.
Right.
And so Donna is leading the way and they're saying, thank you, Donna. So they can come, because everybody has been on this story and everybody's saying like, oh, that's kind of bad for Hillary, except for the Hillary campaign people, right? Because they know they're the ones that are getting kicked out.
Yeah.
But everybody else in the DNC is like, this is sad. We need to take over our own party again. Like I totally believe that this thing happened and that Hillary was doing it because they're changing power.
Morality back in. Yeah.
Had Hillary won, they'd be like, all right, way to go.
I know. Donna wouldn't have she wouldn't have wrote a book. She wouldn't have said a peep. If they would have won.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah. All right. So when we come back on Cross Politic, popes and feminism.
All right.
Elise Crappyshett's new book next on Cross Politic.
This is Cy Timbergen with Answer Anyone Apologetics. Professed unbelievers like to stump Christians with the question, can God make a rock so big that he can't lift it? Well, no. No, he can't. There are things that God cannot do. He cannot lie. He cannot change. And he can't contradict himself, to name but a few. Of course, then the professed unbeliever will say, if God can't do those things, then he isn't all-powerful. What they refuse to realize is that those things are not powers. They are weaknesses. To make a rock so big that it can't be lifted would be a logical contradiction. That would be a weakness, not a power, and is therefore something that God cannot do. Of course, they'll likely insist that in order to be omnipotent, God must be able to do the logically impossible. Then I say, okay, fine. A God who can do the logically impossible can, in fact, make a rock so big that he can't lift it. To which they say, aha! Then there's something that your God can't do. He can't lift that rock. And I answer, no. A God who can do the logically impossible can lift a rock he can't lift. And the absurdity of their demand is exposed. When we defend our faith, stick to the true nature and character of God, and you can answer anyone. For more apologetic answers, visit answeranyone.com.
Toby.
It's your birthday. We gon'
Bite, laugh, and feast.
It's your birthday. We gon' sip the card like it's your birthday.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Go.
It's the day your mama brought you home.
That's your birthday.
Bite, laugh, and feast.
I love it, David. I love it, Knox.
Happy birthday, man. Oh, I'm not done yet.
What?
He's got more coming.
Uh-oh.
There are more coming.
Hey, welcome back to Cross Politic, you all. Chocolate Knox, you are...
I'm having too much fun.
What a gem.
Oh, man.
What a gem.
That's pretty fun. So, we got with us today Elise Crappy-Shetz. She grew up in Mississippi and Texas.
Amen.
Is that why she's on the show?
Amen.
Because she's from Texas?
Odd.
Uh-oh.
Not a coincidence.
You mean where Joel Osteen is and TD Jakes?
Uh-oh. She graduated with...
There's a lot better things in Texas than Joel Osteen.
I think a lot of better things come from Texas. I don't know how much is in Texas right now. I'm just saying.
She graduated with a BA.
I think you better watch it.
Hold on. She graduated with a BA from Baylor.
Oh.
What'd you get a BA?
Waco.
You right. No, you right.
What was your
What'd
BA
you get a BA in?
Well, actually, I designed my own major. It was this program called University Scholars, so you can take whatever you like. So I took everything from Greek to organic chemistry.
She's that smart.
My face is a gift right now.
She's
I'm
that
just
smart.
blinking.
Yeah.
Well, I also took outdoor adventure activities, which I did so poorly in. I failed a camping trip. You can fail a camping trip.
Oh, man.
I was a little nervous at first, but now I'm not so much.
Awesome.
You shouldn't be nervous. No.
Now, it says here that you earned a joint JD and MTS at Duke. I think that's a lawyer degree, Juris Doctor.
That's correct.
And MTS, is that a Master of Theological Studies?
It is. It's a master's.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
So
It's a great thing.
But I don't have the JD part.
It's just a little. That's a minor part.
I don't think so.
Yeah, just a minor.
I kind of doubt that. At Duke,
I could be a lawyer. It's just minor part.
It says she always intended to marry a serious academic with an easy last name. This is on Amazon. I love that.
God has jokes on you, don't he?
Yes.
Instead, God gave her an indomitably fun-loving businessman with a memorable last name.
Crappy-Shetz.
Andrew transplant. That was Gabe. Andrew.
Well, it's true though.
It is. Yeah,
That's the name.
Yeah. My wife actually likes to tell the story that she remembers your wedding, and says that during the vows you kind of giggled.
Well, you would.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
He was absolutely worth it, but it was God's joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Andrew transplanted her to Idaho, where Elise stays home with their 5 fantastic kids.
Wow.
Including John Henry.
John Henry, who's with us in the studio. She tries to transform their wild hillside into a formal southern garden. And I have to say, you're doing a pretty bang-up job at it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
It's looking really nice.
Yeah.
It really is. Now, John Henry, you ready? He's going to tell us one more thing that's not included in the Amazon bio. Tell us about your mom.
Get into the mic.
She took us to Planet 3.
That's how moms win.
What's Planet 3?
A trampoline park.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a trampoline park?
My kids are not allowed to listen to this episode.
So she's like pretty much the best mom in the world?
Yes, sir.
All right.
How do you...
So, oh, man.
It's that easy. It's just that easy.
It
costs you $5 in an hour.
Now, the reason we have you here is that you have a brand new book out called Popes and Feminists, How the Reformation Frees Women from Feminism.
Smash the convents.
And yeah, one of the early draft titles was Smash the Convents. So where did this book come from? And why did you write this book?
Well, I didn't mean to write the book, but somebody asked me to speak at a ladies' event, and I was supposed to speak on wisdom for wives. So I ended up using historical figures to do that. And then one of the things I noticed as I was looking at the historical figures was this question that I actually always had myself about vocation, and was it holier to go and be a missionary or be in full-time ministry, was something that they were dealing with during the Reformation. Obviously, the Catholic Church said it's holier the only holy vocation for a woman is to be a nun. So I thought, that's kind of an issue that women still struggle with, either in the church because they feel like they need to be a missionary or they need to do some sort of Christian work that properly so, or in the secular world where feminism has inroads in all sorts of academics and just everyday people saying, well, what are you going to do? You're going to need to have a career if you want to be meaningful with your life, if you want to do something worthwhile.
And that's the world's version of, if you really want to make a difference in the world.
That's right.
If you really want to be holy.
Then, right. If you want to be useful, if you want to be fulfilled, if you want to be happy, because of course at the time of the Reformation, the whole goal of your life would be salvation. Well, now people, especially secular people, are not really concerned about salvation, but they're very concerned about self-fulfillment and happiness. And many people are still concerned about making a difference in the world, but that's never something you could do in the home. And actually, any sort of mundane things you do seem like, well, those don't matter. It only matters if you're doing a big thing. And then the only way you can do a big thing is to be out in the workforce.
So what did you learn from the reformers about this?
Well, obviously, so Martin Luther and Calvin and other reformers said a vocation is actually any lawful calling that you have. It's not narrowly defined as something for the church. It's anything you're doing, offering it up to God. God's pleased with it. He's actually happy with it. And so, of course, there was that teaching, but then you had to have the embodiment of the teaching, which, as I'm looking at these women and studying the women who were either married to reformers or had become Protestants in the course of the Reformation, the way they're living their lives and the purpose that they have for their lives was far beyond just, well, I hope I can earn my salvation, which is what a nun would have been doing if she had chosen to go to the convent and had not been forced to go to the convent.
Right.
So they were, they're raising up faithful children. They're having people in their homes, incredible amounts of hospitality. Some of them, God put them in different places. They either didn't have kids or their kids were taken away by the Catholic Church and raised somewhere else. And so these are women who are using whatever positions God puts them in to advance the gospel.
I remember reading, I haven't finished reading your book. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm just thankful you started.
I did start it. So did you read When Fathers Ruled? Have you read that?
Yes, and it was fabulous.
I remember reading in that, it's a great book as well on this, about how some of the reformers actually planned raids to break women out of convents. Do you remember that?
It's like it sounds like slavery.
Wow.
No, but seriously, but many of the women, I mean, Lisa just said this, actually had been committed to convents against their wills.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, you said that.
Their dads and their older brothers and people just dropped them off there.
Or their husbands wanted to divorce them.
Something. But there were some reformers that actually planned raids, and they broke women out of the convents and set them free. Absolutely.
Wow.
Set them free so that they could be married and have families and use their lives to serve Christ.
So what's interesting about that is if you read modern historians, and most of them are probably feminists, they look back and say, well, it was a disservice to these women to get them out of the convents. And
weird.
And the reason they say that is because the only place that you could be, according to these women, these historians, free from male autonomy was, male.
The patriarchy.
The patriarchy was either being a widow or a nun. Actually, there's a third category if you were a prostitute. So they believe that prostitution was actually a good, a social good for these women. Yeah. And it's so sad that the reformers also got rid of that.
Anything but a mother.
Right. Or a wife.
Or a wife.
Yeah.
And they would say, in fact, the Reformation wasn't that great for women because the women couldn't preach. Not that any woman would have wanted to preach. Maybe you would have found one or two, I guess. I mean, maybe.
the Joan of Arcs or whatever.
Right, but really no.
No.
Well, they didn't. It was. I mean, like, it's funny because whenever you look at modern society and how they push and encourage women, they push them far away from where they're best placed and where they're best at, where they can have the biggest impact. And even in the convents, I mean, you point this out in your book, where all these women were sneaking books into the convents, and they're sharing Martin Luther's works and Bibles and all these, you know. And then all of a sudden, it starts basically a reformation inside the convent.
Reformation will not be televised. What?
Even before someone can come and free them from the convents. A reformation's already happening.
Right.
Because some faithful woman, like Martin Luther's wife, Katie von Bora, was passing books around or whatever.
Or there was a nun whose parents put her in the convent. She filed a letter of protest. They then made her an abbess, and she again protested that. And then she just started spreading the Reformation in the convent. And I think they were happy to see her go.
Wow. Yeah. Right.
So
once the gospel starts happening, then they're like, okay, you can leave. You can leave now.
So the thing that you're pointing out, though, is that the tyranny, you're pointing out a parallel,
right,
between the enslavement, the tyranny of the Roman Church,
right,
in the High Middle Ages, by the time of the High Middle Ages, and modern feminism. Talk more about that parallel.
So the thing is, I think every person wants to have a purpose for their lives. They want to have a reason. And if you're a Christian, you want to have a way that you're honoring God.
Yeah.
And our society, like the Catholic Church, has said there's a very narrow way that you can have a purpose for your life, that you can honor God. And the reformers came along and they said, no, there's not. There are a million ways that you're honoring God, but they don't look like this hugely sacrificial, I'm going to go give my life away and live in a convent.
Yeah.
Or what our modern society says, I'm going to go have a career and leave my kids at home. What it looks like is 1,000 diaper changes. And
I'm sorry. Say that again. I don't think people heard you when you said that.
What it looks like. What it looks like
to change the world. What'd you say?
1,000 diaper changes.
Okay, she said 1,000 diaper changes. That means first you got to have some kids.
It's true.
Yeah, no,
that's right.
I'm just saying.
That's right.
And I do think there's an element where feminism it pushes this. Women are, let's do things for other women. Let's make women great. But that's actually at its root, that's selfishness. It's saying I'm pushing something for me that's going to benefit me, that's going to benefit people like me. Whereas these women who gave their lives away, I'm looking at the reformers' wives and other women of the Reformation, they're saying the gospel is what matters. And I'm going to be obedient to God, and God's going to bless that. And if you look at, and in the book I talked about this, the way that changed society, it didn't happen overnight. And nobody's writing a biography about them or giving them a parade. But they, in their faithfulness, changed the entire society. There's education. There's people reading their Bibles. Women are treated better as long as you assume that, say, having no prostitution is better than having prostitution, or women making the choice to stay home rather than being forced into a convent is better. Those are all things that changed through the course of the Reformation.
What is
the betterment of society?
What are some of the ways? Because when I started reading it, I think when we had Becca Merkel in here, she started talking about feminism, and I started realizing that there were pieces of feminism that were latched on to me because of my American culture, and culture itself had kind of influenced my thinking. And I've
been saying you're a feminist for a while.
But you got
a little feminism under that beard.
That's more obvious to the rest of us.
Oh, she did.
I'm kidding.
I was told to be nice to you, but I think you need to be nice to me.
I'm so sorry.
But
we'll call Sharon in here.
I don't think we noticed though, and one of the things that you go through, and here's kind of the first part, is showing us how feminism has pretty much has formed our thinking without us even really knowing. Could you just kind of give us a few examples of that, kind of from, because as you talk about, I think feminism creeped in because men themselves were not being men, and so it gave a kind of reverse fix to the system. We're going to fix it, but we go overboard. Like the world can't fix the problem, but they'll see it and they'll try, and they just completely flip it upside down and make a mess of everything. And so, in one sense, it's because we aren't doing our jobs. Feminism can creep in. But now feminism is here. How have we just accepted it in a lot of ways and haven't really thought about that's actually feminism controlling the day.
So, I mean, here's just a little example. One of the things that I noticed as I'm reading, of course, feminism is trying now to redefine marriage. So, and in fact, to dissolve marriage as an institution. So it's a power structure, they believe, between men and women, and everyone should be free, how they define free, to make their own choices, write their own story, write their own love story. Right. And I think the evangelical church, the average evangelical wedding that you go to is about these people's love story. Yeah. Instead of actually saying, this is a picture of Christ in the church. This is about you in one sense, of course. Right. It's important that these two people are coming together.
Right.
But if you don't see your story as part of a greater story, then why wouldn't you be okay with, well, I mean, I just don't feel like this is a great story anymore, so I'd like to get out of this marriage. Right. Well, I'd like to live the way I want to live in this marriage, instead of saying, no, it's not mine. It belongs to God, and it has to reflect what God has for his people and what God's done for his people.
Or why would you never let two loving people get married? If this is just about love story.
Right. Then you can write a love story about.
Yeah. Anything. Rugby players can play on.
Right. Exactly right. But then
guys in dresses can play rugby with girls. Yeah. One of the things that you noted a couple times, one of the parallels it seems to me between the convents and modern feminism is just the barrenness, the childlessness. Just the obvious thing, right? Wow. And we know that everyone does have their own story in God's providence, and not every woman is a mother in that same way.
And God writes the story, and I think that's the most important thing: is you don't write it, God writes it.
That's right.
At the same time, one of the most obvious glories, for a woman is to become a mother, and to
how dare you
to take that to take that glory away, to say it's not glorious to want to be a mom. To want to for that to be your goal.
It's so sad.
It's so sad.
And one of the ways that you can see it being so sad for the nuns was actually they would have, not all of them, obviously, but many of them would have these Christ child dolls, and they would make clothes for the doll once a year, and they would try and take care of the doll. Just such a sad thing, because it's clear that instinct that God gave them, that desire God gave them to mother, they still had. It doesn't matter that
didn't go away.
Right. And honestly, tragically and weirdly, the desire for marriage doesn't go away, because the whole point of being a nun is you're working towards this consummation, the spiritual consummation of your marriage in heaven, which is maybe creepy.
Right. And so it does just
a bit.
It is. And it gets weird.
Greek mythology.
It has to get weird.
It gets weird.
There's no.
Yeah. But I think, Dave is talking about imbibing modern ideas of feminism. I would say the same thing's still going on in the church, where there's even in Christian circles, even in evangelical churches, we've imbibed this. It's like, maybe I'll get married, and maybe in 5 years, in 10 years, maybe we'll have 1 or 2 kids.
Right.
But there's this massive self-sterilization happening.
Yeah.
But I think part of that is people are told, this is what you should be doing. You should be going to have a career, or just you should be living for yourself. And nobody's told, you're not, even though it's obviously right there in Scripture, you're not going to gain your life by trying to gain your life. You're going to gain your life by losing it.
By giving it away. But I hear Christians, conservative Christians, still saying, we're going to get married and we're going to enjoy our lives together for a while.
Yep.
And I think part of the point, what I would want,
right? But that's not where your life is found.
No, and I would want someone, if they're going to read this book, to actually walk away and say, there's more to my life than what I thought. And God has given me such a rich and full opportunity, and I should actually take advantage of that.
Yeah. Or we go on the other side and we just say, you know what? You don't have anything in this life. Just go give your life for Jesus and die somewhere. And it's like, go have some kids. We need to baptize them jokers. What you talking about? More with At Least Crappy Show when we come back.
Canon Press is a publishing house located in Moscow, Idaho. At Canon Press, we create and provide products that sketch a vision of the whole life, a whole culture, a life full of beauty, tradition, education, community, laughter, and celebration. unashamed of Christ, and sharply at odds with the values of modernity. A mature culture with the church at the center, living out the good life, one family at a time. We believe our book, audio, and visual selections reflect this exciting life that God has given us under the sun. As the wisest man said, go eat your bread with joy and drink your wine with a merry heart, for God has already accepted your works. CanonPress.com.
For 21 years and counting, New St. Andrews College has sought to obey Christ's Great Commission to disciple nations and build him a house, not just in Jerusalem, but throughout the world. Not with stones and mortar, but with living stones. We build and fight. This is the task of a Christian liberal arts college, to equip students with the tools to build and fight. And this is our joyful task as we seek to graduate leaders who shape culture through wise and victorious living. To learn more, check us out online at nsa.edu/explore.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, we just partying over here across politics. It's Toby's birthday. Hey.
But there's no cake, and I think there should have been cake.
Oh, yeah.
I would have brought cake if I'd known.
Our cake is whiskey.
Bless your heart.
Which is not a compliment, just so y'all know that.
I gotta say, Elise, I'm really glad to have you on my birthday. This show has been just really special. And John Henry over here, he's busting a move over here.
He's laughing my jokes, so we need him here more often.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I like
Somebody's got it.
He's our laugh track. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Makes me feel good about myself, John Henry. Thank you.
So, chapter 19.
Reformation 500.
Yeah. What is this? Well, that too. What does this all mean for women's vocations?
Yeah.
It's the name of the chapter. So, Elise, what does this all mean?
Well, at the end of the day, start with where you are and start with the things that are right in front of you. So one of the things that I was pointing out is to have the right priorities. Once you have those right priorities, then it's easier to make a decision. And I think sometimes people want to make the decision and then see if it fits in with the priorities, but rather it should be, okay, you love God. You know his word, you know him, you grow in wisdom, and if you're married, you give to your husband. You try and make him more effective. You are actually a helpmeet to him so that he is... It
says that in the Bible somewhere.
Right. Who knew?
Somewhere.
And
something to do with the Reformation. People getting Bibles.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Message.
I'm sorry, I was doing something. What'd you say? You say something about helping your husband is part of your vocation, and it should be done a lot.
Well,
often.
The thing is, a lot, yeah. A lot and often.
A lot and often.
And the problem is sometimes it feels like, well, then what about me? Won't I get any credit? But God gives you the credit, and that's what matters. And actually, I don't think it's a problem for us to humble ourselves a little bit.
Can we role play real quick? Because I think what you're saying, that goes off and it sounds really nice. Like, okay, yes, I know God's going to pay me back for being nice to somebody. Like,
somebody.
I get it. Jesus is the big rewarder. Got it.
Right.
But you don't understand. My husband is a mess. Right. Like, there's real problems behind that. And all of a sudden you take all that stuff they have to deal with. You're telling me to deal with this mess? You're telling me to deal with this? Like, this is hard. Like, he needs to change.
Well, that's why you have to have the right relationship with God as your first priority, because
Amen.
There's no way you can love your husband and give to him and make him successful and love your children unless you love God first.
Amen.
Can I be the angry Elise real quick?
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
What she basically said is you ain't loving Jesus right. Yeah, I mean,
so y'all know what I'm saying?
You over here pointing at your husband's sin, but you got this big old long beam at your own eye and you ain't fixing. Anyway, go ahead.
Sometimes I tell couples in premarital counseling that the same thing you're saying, but you can't love your wife or your husband the way God calls you to if you don't love Christ more.
Amen.
And I think that sometimes people, at least in circles I've been in, people felt like, I mean, for instance, in college, I knew people who were dating Jesus, they said. And then they then had to break up with Jesus when somebody asked them to a formal. So that's unfortunate. But
are they cheating on Jesus?
Yeah. I think they were. And that was, I always thought, do you realize you're going to be two-timing Jesus? But
right. You know what that
bless
means?
Your heart.
It's true.
But people do that.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing is, when you say love Jesus, sometimes people think that means have emotions about Jesus, and it means obey Jesus.
Oh,
right.
And I think that there's so much freedom in obedience, and so much more freedom than being a slave to whatever your emotions are today about Jesus, as opposed to just do what he says.
If you love me, you obey my commands.
Right. Do what he says, and you don't have it's not that your life is going to suddenly be easy, but your life is going to be a lot better. Your life is going to be blessed, and you're going to have peace.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
That's something, right?
Because we have a lot of people, a lot of women without peace. A lot of women in the church.
Oh man,
without peace.
And it's right there ready for them. But you've got to come.
Right. And I see him chasing it with trying to have a career on the side, trying to have the perfect body at the gym, trying all the new diet fads,
trying to fix your husband,
trying to everything,
trying to make a difference somehow in whatever way the world told you.
And you want to say, how's that working out for you?
Yeah.
Right. And how's it working out?
Grabbing sand is how it's working out.
Right. There's no peace.
Grabbing oil, maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just slipping right there.
Right.
That's right.
But it's right there.
It's right there, and the gospel is all grace. So come. I mean, it's just there's so much God has in store for His people, but I think sometimes we just don't want to give ourselves up.
Well, I think
that's always the way, right?
I mean, this is the week of the Reformation 500. We're celebrating it, and
he had to make sure we get that.
I know.
Reformation 500.
Reformation 500.
Yeah.
But one of the glories of the Reformation 500, obviously, one of the central things that we covered was justification by faith.
It's the Reformation's birthday.
Hey, and Toby's birthday.
And my birthday.
Do we got a Reformation birthday?
You got a happy
message.
You got a happy Reformation birthday?
I don't have a happy Reformation. I'll ask 50 Cent if he got one for us. I'll ask him like, "Hey, 50, you got a birthday song."
But the recovery of justification by faith freed so much beyond what we can even imagine.
Right.
Like, imagine living back then where everything was about works, where everything was about buying your way out of hell, or everything was about having other people pray for you to make sure you were okay in heaven. But
we're doing the same thing. And you have so many people in evangelical reformational churches.
We've kind of left the Reformation.
But we got almost full circle.
Right. Yeah.
And you got people coming back, and they're still trying to find peace.
Well, now Christians are the new Catholics, right? Like that's kind of what's happening. I mean, honestly, when I read the beginning of your book on vocation, that was missing from the first 15, 20 years of my Christian life. Biblical vocation was just not there. And you talk to people, they're still making products as Christians. How to know what to do with your life, God's plan for your life. And that we're making.
And it's like reading tea leaves. I mean, it really is. What is God's will for my life?
Yes.
I think I'm going to just try and they're looking for
maybe
things
it'll be in
like,
the clouds.
Maybe if I buy this product that they're selling, then I'll find God's will for my life. Well, that sounds familiar.
Yes, it is. It's really sad because you actually have people who are really lost looking for some direction in their lives. And they'll pray about it, and then the next person came along and said, "Hey, I think you might be good at this," and they think, oh, "God just told me."
Right.
But you're saying that the way we actually find out what God calls us to is by obeying Him.
That's right, and it's funny because it can sound like we're saying, "Well, works don't get you to heaven, so why are you talking so much about obedience?"
Right.
But there's a massive difference in thinking, if I am just obedient enough, God will love me, and thinking God loves me, and so out of gratitude, here's my life. Let me obey you.
Yeah. And this is what justification by faith is all about. Yeah. It's that you're already accepted. It's that you're already loved. It's that Christ stood in your place, that your sins are taken away, that He's come for you in His love, in His grace, and He's taking care of it all. And now you have peace with Him, and now all of life is gift.
When I was a kid, we were in these churches in Mississippi, and one particular church in Mississippi,
and in Texas,
But when I was a small child, we were in Mississippi, and there would be people. When I was 7 years old, I had a surgery, and my parents never knew who it was, but somebody paid for that surgery, and they just called the hospital and said it's ours. And in response to that, I've always thought that's what generosity is. That kind of attitude, these people, and we saw it over and over and over again. They didn't need to be named. They didn't need credit. They just wanted to be gracious. But then what that did is teach me, this is what generosity looks like, and I need to spend my life acting like that. That's a great, and that's what God does, is God's been so generous that then our response to that isn't, well, then I'm going to take it and keep it. It's, oh, thank you. Now let me give. Let me see where I can give. What can I do?
Let's couple questions or comments, and actually I'm trying to get at some questions here. So the world teaches that kind of we're salvation by works, and they define what those works are, right? The works are, women, you need to find value in the workplace, your career, and so they're teaching us being strong, having a fit body, all
right. Your black is beautiful. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just
are you talking about the Dove commercial?
No, that says your black ain't beautiful.
That's right. Don't use this soap, black people.
No, do use this soap. You see how they did that there?
I think we need to fill in our audience on that one. We'll do it later. We'll do it later. Okay.
Anyway.
All right. And so and of course that's what was going on in the Reformation. The church, the Catholic Church had said, hey, this is where your salvation's at. It's in the convent. It's away from the home. This is where holiness is at.
Indulgences.
Indulgences.
Stuff.
And so now what has happened to where we've kind of been seduced? I mean, we have all this history of like, hey, don't do that. This happened in the convents, or like Adam and Eve at the tree.
Children of Israel.
We have all these examples of stop disobeying God and stop listening to culture and listening to the way things are going, and we're doing that all over again. Does that make sense? We're our women, our churches, we're listening to the world and how they define what's works and what saves us. I don't know, kind of not necessarily a question. I'm trying to get at a question, but just trying to connect.
How did we get here?
Yeah, trying to connect kind of what happened in the Reformation to how we're back in the same spot. Like you said earlier, Toby, we're back full circle. And everything.
But don't you think that's kind of, I mean, when you read Exodus and in Numbers is the worst, like
or Judges is super depressing.
Well, but then you see God saves them, and then what do?
3 generations later,
right.
Next chapter,
right?
And then they say, "Oh, we don't think you'll help us out. We don't think you'll save us. We're hungry."
Right.
And then that's what we are by nature, is forgetters.
Right.
I'd also point to the fact that we've also had a pretty significant decline. I mean, in men, in masculinity. So in the Reformation,
why are you looking at me when you say that, man? I'm saying
we already talked about it.
About that feminism under your beard.
We're having an event.
Look, it got preached out, brother. Come on now.
But you have. But what I mean, it's what the Reformation was is you had a bunch of men and women.
Yep.
Together though, determine that their lives were entirely and completely found their meaning, their peace, their joy in Christ alone, and finding their identities and so they didn't love their own lives. They gave their lives away freely.
They did, and I think it's important when you look at these women who escaped the convents, or you look at all the reformers and their wives, or people that were not married, whatever the case, people that became Protestants, they didn't know the Reformation would succeed. So when they become Protestants, it's likely they could just be killed and the whole thing would die.
Right,
when you look back 500 years, you think, well, yeah, it succeeded, see? Right. And they were all fine.
Look,
but what they felt like was this complete insecurity, so they had to trust God.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it was giving their lives away.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah,
I think the thing is that it's in the last 100, 200 years, you've also had, with the rise of feminism, you've also had the rise of effeminacy.
Yeah. Right.
In men.
Absolutely.
And so you don't have men.
Malakoi.
But you haven't had men being strong, protecting their daughters, loving their wives.
That's right.
And giving themselves away freely,
because they don't know their own vocation,
right? And so there's I think that's part of what's going on too, though, in terms of like how do we get back here?
Yeah.
We need men who don't love their lives to the death, who are willing to obey Jesus no matter the cost, lay their lives down, be forgotten, be nobodies, in obedience to Christ. And when men and women do that, worlds change.
Yeah.
And it really does have to be both. It can't be just, I mean, God uses both, and he uses the family to change the world.
That's what I love about the end of your book is that ultimately it's pushing towards that family unit right there, and how it's working. Usually in our community, I think, or any Reformed community that has good, solid preaching, the guys take the first blunt of all the rebukes, right? Like the rebukes and the admonition goes right to the guys, and they get hit really hard, and that's good. Men need to be built up that way. But a lot of times I think women sit back, okay, so what am I supposed to do? Like, okay, I'm ready. Throw me in, tag me in, high five me. What am I going to do? And they sit there like, oh, okay. All right, I'll just wait. I'm good. But one of the things I love about the end of your book is that you say, look, guys, this is what you do. As you're finding your vocation, you said the first thing was that you loved God, right? Like you gave yourself to the Lord, you love God, and then you just started doing things. And some of the things that you listed you were doing was sacrificing for your husband. I love that language.
John Piper says about Sarah Edwards, who's the wife of Jonathan Edwards, she made him successful by the work that she did. She made him productive. And that's not an exact quote, it's paraphrased, but basically her life made his ministry better.
Right.
Message. What greater thing could a woman give to her husband to make him more successful? He's out there changing the world. And what if she provides a refuge for him, provides wise counsel to him? You can't, a husband that doesn't have a wise wife, you can see it. You can see it in his work. Yeah. And
ooh,
wow.
Oh, she said you see it in his work. Come on, Jesus. Help us, Lord.
But that's why women should never feel like, well, it doesn't really matter what I do because I'm not out there on the front lines. Yeah. Oh, you're super important. You are so crucial to the. How can he be successful if he's fighting at home?
Right. I think one of the things I was struck by reading your book was, of course, like Martin Luther was integral in the Reformation, and John Calvin, and all these. I mean, we can name Martin Bucer, all these guys that are names, almost household names now. But like how the Reformation was so driven by women, by the wives, and all this. Martin Bucer's wife, of course, Martin Luther's wife.
Yeah.
So there's no way.
It's just a power. It's just a powerful. The Reformation was so powerful, almost in some sense, more because of the women. In some sense, because they had this huge support with these men who were getting thrown around, thrashed, and getting called to councils and getting called to all these deathly meetings that they could have
well, and also as a way to spread the Reformation. So these reformers' wives are having, and when I say they're having people for dinner, I mean maybe it's 40 people every night, and you don't have indoor plumbing.
I know.
Or electricity. That's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So. But what's happening is that's how they're spreading the Reformation. So there's students, there's visiting pastors, there's theologians, scholars. All these people are at the table. Then, they don't have the internet. They don't have news in the same way. So they're spreading the Reformation through table fellowship.
At their tables.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah. At their tables.
Yeah.
And you read through, and all of them have been to each other's houses. She hosted these people. She hosted Calvin. She hosted Zwingli. And it's fabulous.
So it's like we need to feast.
It's always like we need to feast.
Right? We need to feast. But this is like, how did the Reformation, you're saying Reformation by feasting.
Wow.
Reformation at tables.
I think you could write an entire book on hospitality and how it influenced the Reformation. And I think it would be fascinating.
How it changed the world.
And how will they feast without any cooks?
Right. Right. But the glory of that.
Yeah.
The glory
and
of
the joy of it. Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, that's really good.
Popes and feminism.
Yeah. Where's this book? It's at
canonpress.com.
Canon
you can find it on Amazon.
It's on Amazon.
We'll put some links out, of course, through our email and Facebook channels.
Yeah.
Just a great book. Oh, one other book I wanted to mention related to this was Radiant. Radiant is basically a biography of women in the Reformation.
Okay.
It actually was more than just women in the Reformation. It went farther back than that, but it was.
But you can buy that book.
You can buy that back on Canon Press.
You
got to get Elise's book.
And if you're really nerdy, go get When Fathers Ruled.
Yeah,
which is also just fabulous by Harvard scholar,
Osmond,
right? Stephen Osmond.
Stephen Osmond.
That's the third book in line. After
but get Elise's book first. Get John Henry's mom's book.
Yeah.
Thank y'all very much.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Until next week, go fight, laugh, and let's feast. This is Cross Politics.